didn't fail yet. Oh, we do have some active failures. And we didn't even notice. I don't see a single yellow light on anybody. What's failed? 2 things have failed. And I got nothing. I got absolutely nothing. Alright, so I'm gonna post a quick vote. Should I actually look down there and see what the failures are, or should I just wait until they become obvious? Because there is not a yellow light up here anywhere. Everything seems to be functioning normally. The engines are turning. Fuel's about where it should be, give or take. I don't see any indication of what's failed, so it may not become... Yeah, 2 failures. Probably before I turn the limit on, it probably had already failed 2 things before I even turned the limit on. But I don't even know. And some of the failures, like some of the failures that are programmed into these PMDG airplanes are so... I won't say so benign, but benign, but they're relatively simple failures. They can be things like a stuck valve that you may not notice for a long time until you start descending and pressurization tries to change or something. Let's see here. Pressurization system, the cabin is at 0. I don't know what's failed. Yeah, I'm trying to find it. I don't know, it could be an APU failure. The APU's not running, so it could be an APU failure. Yeah, I haven't the faintest clue. Let's have a look at the electrical system here. Battery is charging very slightly. The battery bus is good. TRU is putting out a fairly normal amperage, good voltage. TRU 1, 2, and 3. Let's see, generator 1 is putting out 49 amps. APU generator is putting out nothing. Gen 2. Inverter's not carrying any load right now. Could be like a de-icing valve as well, and I'm not using the icing systems at all. The lavatories are out of service. Could be smoke in the lav, you never know. I'm a little bit stumped. It's obviously something's failed, and it's a system we're not using. So my first thoughts are anti-ice and APU. We're not using the anti-ice, we're not using the APU. Those are my first thoughts for what's failed. Because when you go into it here, and I'm not trying to cheat and find... I don't think it's going to show me, no. But like, there's so many things. You can have the air system or severe failure of the APU. You could have a problem with the doors, electrical. You can have individual generators fail. Those should bring up lights. You can have breakers. External power failure. Main battery charger. Like so many like very intricate little failures. Galley bus failures. Things that probably, unless somebody came and say, hey, the oven's not working in the back, or I can't get the light to go on in the galley, things that you wouldn't notice. It could be gear as well, absolutely. Oh, never mind. I saw it. I didn't realize it would be red, so I saw it. It's a hydraulic system anyways. I didn't mean to do that. I was just scrolling through the list. We have some kind of hydraulic system problem, but I don't know what. Everything seems to be functioning. Oh, actually, there we go. Now it kicked in. Now we got it. Maybe the coffee maker is broken. Oh, dear God, no. We got to divert right now if the coffee maker is broken. Okay, hold on a second. We got a caution light. So we are showing low pressure on the engine 2 engine-driven pump. So as soon as you've acknowledged a failure, the first thing you always do is reset the caution light. That way, if anything else fails, it'll illuminate again. So we acknowledge the failure that we've got a low pressure... we got a hydraulic failure. So we've got a low pressure on the engine-driven pump. So let me pull out my QRH. I didn't cheat too much. That light was about to come on anyways. Okay, so let's see here if I can find it in my index, because I've never had to do this before, but would it be under L for low pressure? Yes, L for low pressure. Low pressure hydraulic pump. Hydraulics is chapter 13 anyway, so I'm going to go to chapter 13 because it's got both, but it doesn't have an individual one. So, hydraulic pump low pressure 13.1. So the hydraulic pump pressure is low. Alright, so the hydraulic, so low pressure. So we got a low pressure light. Hold on a second, let me see if I can do this here. Just to show you guys what I'm looking at. Let me see if I can turn this back on and if you guys can see this. Yeah, it's really dim. Hold on one second, let me just turn on a light. Actually, I may be able to do this. There we go. Haha! There you go. Anyways, it's not big enough, but you guys can follow along a little bit with that. Can I turn that up even more? Is it better if it's brighter? There we go. That's pretty bright. Anyways, hydraulic pump low pressure. Obviously, we'd actually try to do this somewhat quickly. The hydraulic pump pressure is low, which we did acknowledge over here that we've got low pressure light on. So hydraulic pump switch on the affected side off. So we just simply switch the pump off. And then note, loss of an engine-driven hydraulic pump and a high demand on the system may result in an intermittent illumination of the low pressure light for the remaining electric motor-driven hydraulic pump. So that is the end of the checklist. That literally was just turn the switch off. Well, that was not a very exciting failure, was it, guys? So we've lost the number 2 side engine-driven pump. So the only other question that really I kind of become a little bit concerned with at this point is also what's on the number 2 side. And honestly, at this point, I'm exposing my complete and total lack of knowledge in the in the 737 systems. I don't know what runs on the number 2 side, but we can always pull it out. Turn the broken thing off and good luck. Yeah, that's Boeing for you, right? That is exactly it. Turn it off, hope nothing else fails. That's the end of the checklist. Yeah, that's exactly it. So yeah, I don't know these systems well. Yes, thank you for Foxit Reader. I don't need that I don't need that right now. Okay, so I'm going to scroll through the systems here to try and find hydraulics. There's anti-ice, automatic flight, blah blah blah. One thing I wish was that this was indexed. Electrical. Because the first question I ask is, okay, well, what's on the number 2 system? What are the things we're at risk of losing or at least having slow operation? Is it the landing gear potentially? Flight instruments, getting there. Okay, it's going to take a long time to get through flight instruments here. Let's just skip to... for some reason that zoomed right in, and I don't know why. Alright, we're just trying to get through a whole bunch of these here. If I can scroll down, way down here. Hydraulics. Flight instruments takes up forever. It's almost like the flight instruments are complicated on this airplane. Oh my god, still going through management systems here. Hydraulics. Okay, I found hydraulics. Chapter 13. Woo! Alright, hydraulics. System B, which is the one we've lost here. Not that we've lost, but we've lost one pump on. So ailerons, rudder, elevator, and elevator feel, flight spoilers, 2 on each wing, leading edge flaps and slats, normal brakes, number 2 thrust reverser, autopilot B, alternate nose wheel steering, landing gear transfer unit, auto slats, yaw damper, and trailing edge flaps. So flaps, that's going to be a big one. That's going to be a potential high drain. Normal brakes in combination with the thrust reversers, also going to potentially be a high drain situation. We haven't lost them though, because there's redundancy. See, the ailerons, rudder, they're on both system A and B. So what we've done is we've lost one of the... we haven't lost them yet anyways, you'll have like 2 sets of actuators. So you'll have on the ailerons, both systems will have an actuator on the aileron. So you can lose one system and you don't lose your flight controls. There's a lot of redundancy between the critical systems here. elevator and elevator field. So all the flight controls are on both systems. So if we were to lose system B altogether, we might have a little bit of degraded flight controls, but we will still have them. It's just we've just lost the engine-driven pump. So there's 2 pumps on each system. There's the engine-driven pump and there's the engine-driven pump, and then there's the backup electric pump. So now we're using the electric pump only, which may not provide as much volume as the engine-driven pump. So yeah, when we're doing a major use of the hydraulics, landing gear would be one example, but it's on the A system. But when we're moving the flaps, we may not have enough system pressure. So we haven't lost the hydraulic system at all. The hydraulic system is still functioning. So all we've lost is the output from the engine-driven pump. But we still got the electric pump is still functioning. We still got fluid in the system. All that's going to happen is it's just the flaps are probably going to move a lot slower. So we're going to have to sort of plan our flap deployment a little bit earlier. Things like that. Flaps is probably, I think, the biggest one that I could see here. That might be trailing edge flaps, auto slats, and then also normal brakes. So that may also be a little bit of an issue in combination with the thrust reversers. But we do have performance calculations that we can deal with here. So we can already start asking questions about this. So show landing, show en route, because that's going to be my biggest concern. It's not the in-flight, we're fine. No adverse effects. We're not maneuvering the flight controls very much. We're not using the flaps at all. It's when we come in for landing that it's going to be a little bit more of an issue. So if I copy FMC data here, 26 right, say it's a dry runway with calm winds. Oops. Yeah, so all we've lost at this point is some system redundancy. We still have the system B is working. Sorry, just looking this up here. 12 degrees 3017. We still have system B is working, but it's working at a reduced capacity, and then we have redundancy between system A and system B as well. So it's a pretty benign failure at this point. Even if I was to say one in-op, let's say we do a flat 40 landing, air conditioning on but anti-ice off, brakes, I'm going to say auto brake 3, and let's see here. Engine inoperative. Flap disagree, flaps up. And see, this won't even affect our landing distance because we haven't lost the hydraulic system. We've just lost just the backup pump. So it's not even considered to have an impact on the landing distance. That's the thing. So it should all work. I'm going to do no credit anyways. And what's our landing weight going to be here? Sorry guys, just let's see here. Our ZFW 118.8 and our landing weight, our landing fuel is going to be something like 7. So we're going to be about 125,000 for landing weight, give or take, ballpark anyways. 125,000. Yeah, oh yeah. See, yeah. So at this point we're doing 5,200 even with auto brake 3. That really helps. So all right. So yeah. So we've had this failure. It's not having an adverse effect on the flight at this point. So steps at this point. We've gone through the QRH. We've gone through the checklist. We've dealt with it. Why does it say active failures are 3 now? I thought I said limit it to 1. Alright, we are going to... Oh, not supposed to be looking at that, but anyways, they're all related at this point. What I'm trying to do is turn off the random. And I think that'll leave our failures though, right? That'll leave our failures that we already have. Yeah. Okay. Good. I don't want to get rid of the failures. Okay. Yeah. So we've had a failure. We've dealt with it, and at this point, we have to consider a bunch of things. The first thing is, of course, do we need to divert at all? And usually, if you need to divert, it's here in the QRH. It would say land it near a suitable airport. It doesn't say that. As long as nothing else is going wrong, Boeing considers this as not a crucial failure. You're definitely safe to continue flying into your destination. So that's what we're going to probably do at this point, and then we would start working through our ABCs. So our ABCs are ATC. Do we need to notify ATC? Well, is this going to adversely affect our flying, our handling of the airplane? At this point, no. Losing just one pump on one hydraulic system, not really a failure that requires ATC to do anything. It's not affecting how fast we're going. It's not affecting our maneuvering. We're not going to need emergency services when we arrive. At this point, I would say we're probably no. We don't need to notify ATC because it's not affecting our flying, and we don't need emergency services or anything like that. So ATC, no. B, back end. Do we, the passengers, need to know? Well, absolutely not. Not affecting the progress of the flight. We're not diverting. They don't need to know at all. Back end cabin crew, do they need to know? I would argue at this point pretty much no. I might mention to them in passing if they ever come up and ask and we have a conversation, but I wouldn't even go out of my way to tell them that anything's happening because it's not affecting the flight. It's not affecting the outcome of the flight at all at this point. The only thing I might bring it up to the cabin crew is if we're supposed to take this airplane somewhere else next, and I'd say there's a maintenance issue. We're going to have to swap airplanes when we get to Vancouver. That might be the only thing that would really affect the cabin crew. So back end, probably not going to tell them. So the only people I really need to tell or see is the company. And again, it's not that anything major is happening, but by telling them that we've had this failure, that we've had this issue, they can already put into place a maintenance plan. So they can have mechanics meet the airplane as soon as we get there to evaluate what went wrong, to look at the hydraulic pump. They can also make a fleet plan as well. So if this airplane was supposed to go somewhere after we arrived at Vancouver, then they could start to make a plan. They can assume that this airplane's probably broken when we get there. They don't know for how long. They're going to make a plan based on not having the airplane available, based on other planes being available. So that's when you would use the ACARS system most of the time. You'd go in here, type in a little text message to your dispatcher and your maintenance. And it would just be something simple, just like during cruise, engine 1 pump low pressure light illuminated, QRH actioned, and continuing on to destination. And then the company would advise if they need you to divert somewhere. They may ask you to divert because there may not be maintenance in Vancouver. Of course, WestJet would probably have a maintenance base at Vancouver, but if you're going to like an outstation, some small airport, they may ask you to come back or go to somewhere that's bigger so that they can have maintenance there available to deal with the problem. So. And that's basically it at that point. Then you just carry on. You pull out the journey log. I don't know where you keep it in this airplane, probably over there. Pull out the journey log and you'd write it up. And that's basically it. That's all we would deal with. So, yeah, I'm gonna say I didn't see the fact that something was leaking. But yeah, we do have. So we do have EDP2 hydraulic failure. We had a leak. But it was a leak from the pump. So as soon as we shut off the pump, and this is why we shut off the pump, because if it's a leak at the pump, then we've closed the valve that leads to that pump, and there's no longer fluid leaking out. So we should still have sufficient fluid for the rest of the flight. And actually, the one thing I can do in this airplane, we don't have a whole lot, but actually, oh, there you go. Because it took me a long time to get to this, we actually only have 28% of our fluid left. In the newer airplanes, you'll have like better system diagnostics. In this one, there's not much you can do, but yes, there is actually the hydraulic quantity. So yeah, we did leak a whole bunch out because we shut off. The valve to that pump. We stopped the leak before we ran out of fluid. So it's a good thing we did it when we did. I kind of dicked around here for a minute trying to play with my QRH. If I'd waited probably about 1 to 2 more minutes, we probably would have run out of hydraulic fluid and had a bit more of a serious situation. So yeah, you know, there's two light color lights in the flight deck. There's red and there's yellow, and red is an absolutely urgent situation and needs to be handled immediately. And basically, these are the red lights: fires, any kind of fire in the cargo compartments, in the engines, in the APU, any kind of a fire situation is a handle immediately. These are generally memory items. You don't pull out a checklist for these. You do memory items first. You'll have trained for these in the sim. I honestly don't know them for the 737 because I've never trained in the sim for the 737. But you would pull them out right away and you would do them, and that would be the end. And what wouldn't be the end of it? Then you pull out the checklist. So if you had one of these red lights go off, you would do all of your memory items for this red item. So it would probably be you know, if it was an engine, it would probably be like pull the engine to idle, move the fuel lever to cut off, and then pull and blow the fire bottles, pull the fire handle to shut off everything, and then pull the bottles. Then those would be your memory items. Then you'd pull out the checklist and make sure you've done everything properly on the checklist, all the memory items, and then anything else that was left on the checklist. Anything that's yellow is usually yellow's a caution, so it's something that's it could be a potentially problematic situation if you don't take care of it soon. But it's not like, you know, drop everything else and panic kind of a light. So red is urgent, has to be done now. Usually memory items. Yellow is usually no memory items. It's usually just pull out a checklist as soon as you can and get it done. And I kind of did it around for a few minutes, pulling out my checklist and finding it, and then also playing with my light source here to make sure you guys could actually see what I was looking at here in the checklist there. But yeah, so because of that, we almost lost all of our hydraulic fluid in System B, and that would have made it a little bit more of an urgent situation. So at least we got that taken care of. Yeah, can't compete with my ground speed. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good here. What are we doing? We're doing 534 now. Yeah, I got it kind of, I don't have it quite red line, but I got it pretty close, Mach 7.9. And we're definitely going to get this flight done pretty quickly here. What time is it now anyways here? We're 15:41. We're to landing in Vancouver here in about, well, at 16:58. We're pulling up more and more of a tailwind here. Yeah, we're just over an hour. Well, not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah, we're making good progress here. Oh, we got Denver Center. Did we pass? I think we are. No, we don't pass through airspace because we passed through Salt Lake, I think. I just noticed on my vPilot here that Denver's online, but that does not help us because here we are, and here's Denver. Oh, and then look, Albuquerque came on too, and Phoenix Tower was on. Phoenix Tower's on now too. Oh, the best ATC is always behind us. Damn it. Oh well. There is an ATIS in Vancouver. There is an arrival controller on in Vancouver. Nice. Excellent. Well, Ghost Community, welcome aboard. And it's not just you, Travis. No. Well, hey, why don't you go log in Phoenix and see if you can drive them away. Yeah, I think you were just... The first time, I think you were just... I don't even know how it worked out the first time. We were... Let's see, that was the Vancouver to Winnipeg leg. I just left before you, but I don't know. I wasn't redlining it as bad, but... I'm not really redlining it that bad, but I just, you know, want to get there soon. That one's kind of really throwing me now that if I'd waited another couple minutes, we would have had a much more serious failure. If we would have run out of hydraulic fluid, that would have been a serious problem. Then we wouldn't have had any flaps. We are doing okay. We had a little hydraulic failure. We had a little leak in our engine-driven hydraulic pump, which unfortunately leaked out a whole bunch of fluid. And we only have 28% of our fluid left in the number 2 system, which hopefully is enough to still run that system. The number 2 electric pump is keeping up okay. It's running. It hasn't indicated low pressure. So, yeah, we almost had a disaster there. Absolutely. Absolutely. The fact that, like, if it had taken another couple minutes and we had drained away all of our hydraulic fluid, yeah, that's the kind of thing that really is a little bit sobering. It's like, yeah, this could have been a lot more serious. This is a fairly benign failure at this point. We've just lost our primary source of hydraulics on the number 2 side, but we have another whole system that's working just fine, and we have the backup pump, the standby pump, which is electric for the number 2 side, which is working just fine. But it doesn't have as much capacity as the engine pump, so it may cause some issues as we're deploying the flaps. The flaps may deploy a little slower. So we're definitely going to set ourselves up for a bit of a longer final than usual, and we'll be deploying the flaps a little earlier to give them time to come down. But yeah, that absolutely does. You know, that when you realize that you came close to a much bigger disaster, then and you manage to resolve it without it turning into a big disaster, that does sort of give you that wake up moment. Yeah, it could have been a lot worse. My viewership is suffering from lack of drama. Yeah. But that's the thing, and in aviation, drama is you don't want drama. You want things to work nicely. You really do. Yeah. If I die, yeah. What do they say in aviation? They say there's old pilots and there's bold pilots, but there's no old bold pilots. It's probably not so much true anymore because we made the airplane so bloody safe, but. Yeah, playing it conservative, playing it safe will definitely get you through your day a lot nicer. You'll never make it as a reality star. I am not trying to be a reality star. My reality is reality. I find the term reality star hilariously ironic because these people don't live in reality. These people live some fucked up non-real lives. Yeah, the whole reality star TV thing, those people create so much more drama than anyone has in their normal life. I find it hilarious that they use the term reality. It's more like unreality stars. Scripted reality TV. It doesn't even have to be scripted, but it just they just make stuff up that is so beyond the extreme. It's hilarious sometimes. Yeah, my goal is not to make it as a reality star. My goal is to try and convey this is how we would try and deal with things in real life. And yeah, but absolutely, that would give you a little chill knowing that we got down to 28% before we had reacted to that leak. And yeah, just for curiosity's sake. And I wouldn't do this in real life, but this is fun here. If I turn that back on, do we start losing more hydraulic fluid here in a second? Probably going to start losing another % or two here. Bum bum bum. No, nothing else? Nope, stuck at 28. Obviously, it was not a very fast leak anyways. The other thing you got to be concerned about with hydraulic fluid leaking out in the engine compartment is, of course, hydraulic fluid is flammable. You don't need that leaking on a hot part of the engine because that could also that could also lead to a very bad day. That could lead to engine fires. And they're designed to not do that anyways. Generally the hydraulic pumps and the hydraulic lines, because they're flammable fluids, they try to keep it away from the hot parts of the engine. But depending on where the leak is, and if something leaks and drips down into the wrong spot, it could create a bad situation. Nope, it's not leaking anymore anyways. The leak fixed itself. Oh, hilarious. Hilarious. Nope, I don't think it's going to leak anymore. Okay, anyways, I'm going to turn that back off again. If I can get this. There we go. Alright, so I said I'm Mach 7.9 and 530 ground speed, but you're Mach 8 with 457. Here's the thing, is as you go up in altitude, your Mach number, a given Mach number, the speed decreases. So if you're up at 380 and you're doing Mach 80, and I'm down at 340, and I'm doing Mach 80 as well, essentially here, I'm going to be going faster than you at the end of the day. As you go up, the Mach numbers get slower. This is why at low levels we don't fly the Mach numbers, because Mach 0.8 down at sea level would be like 600 knots. It would be like a ridiculously fast speed. But as you go up, the Mach numbers get slower. So that's why if you're up high, it's more efficient. You're burning less gas. Your company will be happy with you more than me, because you're burning less gas than I am. But yeah, probably if you really want to keep up, the better way is to fly a little bit lower. Is to drop down to 360. The question, but I can't say that's a given, because the trouble is it's also, it's not just the Mach number. But your limit will, as you go up, your maximum speed goes down because the Mach number decreases. So you're set by the Mach limit. But then, especially in a tailwind situation, as you go lower, your tailwind will probably decrease as well. So right now, I've got about 67 knots almost right behind me. So depending on what you've got up there, because I've got a true airspeed of 464. I don't know what you're getting for true airspeed at 380, but as you go down, you may gain a little bit of true airspeed, but you may also lose the tailwind behind you. So if you've usually got a headwind, then usually you want to go down and get a little bit lower and get out of the headwind, because the headwinds will usually decrease as you go down. Not always a given, but usually. But you also don't know how much they're going to decrease, so that's also... yeah, like in the real world, honestly, we play this game all the time. Oh, look, like the wind here is way stronger than forecast. You want to go down and see if it's better? Well, I don't know. And we play that game with the turbulence too. Well, the ride's really kind of shit here. Do you want to go down a little lower and see if it's better? Well, we can go down. We don't have any reports. Nobody knows if it's better down there, so we're just kind of gambling sometimes whether it's going to be better or not. I've had that happen where I've gone down to try and get out of a headwind, and the headwind still stayed the same for another 4,000 feet below, and then I gained a little bit of speed, but then I had people overtake me at higher altitudes when their wind dropped off. So it's just a gamble. You never know what's going to work better. You can try and make some assumptions based on generalizations, based on generally the wind decreases as you go down, but that's not always the case. Yeah, so we've got... we're supposed to have a tailwind. As we go north, it's supposed to decrease, though. If I pull up my flight plan here... nope, that's not it. Where's the flight plan? Here's the flight plan. Pardon me. As we go north, it was supposed to kind of start to decrease and eventually swing around to a crosswind as we go north. So it could be that we don't have synced weather as well. You should still... I think we're right about here, right? I don't know what fix that is, but I think we're right about there. Yeah, well, you should still have a tailwind component at this point. So I'm not sure why you're getting a headwind swinging around already. You should be having about a 50 knot tailwind still, at least. So that is a little bit odd. I'm gonna chalk that up to Microsoft not always having the best weather. Let's see, that's 300. You're up at 380. Yeah, it looks like you're gonna lose your... Yeah, and that's the other thing too, actually, at 390, you're losing the tailwind sooner. So if I were you, if you want to go faster, I'd actually suggest coming down, because this is the 390 chart, and look here, this is roughly where we are. You got about a 40 to 50 knot tailwind, supposedly. If you come down to 340, you're going to have about 60 to 70 knots, so you probably want to actually come down to 340. You're probably going to actually get better speed, better ground speed down low. Alright. I'm just going to step out of the flight deck for about 3 minutes here, guys, because I need a refill on my cup of coffee, but we're going to be setting up our arrival into Vancouver shortly, so I'm not going to step out for any length of time. I'm not even going to bother to put this really into I might put it to cinematic mode just for a minute here, but I'm literally going to step out for about 5 minutes here, guys, just to go and get a new cup of coffee. Actually, I think I have to make a pot, so... but I'm going to be back just very quickly. I'm not going to step away for any length of time here, because we're going to start setting up for arrival very soon. I just want to get a cup of coffee so I keep having something to drink when I'm talking this much. Do you have to announce that on Unicom? You could. I would say you don't have to. There's not enough air traffic out there in this virtual world that we normally have to make too many calls when we're en route in Unicom. In theory, you should. If you were in uncontrolled airspace and you're doing something like an altitude change, you absolutely should. But in the VATSIM world, I'd say that's something where we could probably forego that, because we'd have people constantly making announcements. And the range you get is pretty high, too, so you need to advertise when you're on a break. Yes. I need paid advertising when I'm on a break anyways. I could do that. I actually have the capability of doing that in Twitch. I can force an ad break. But I don't want to. I'm not going to force that on you guys. But Twitch does have that capability. I can run a 1 minute ad break. There's a button here that allows me to run a 1 minute ad break while I step away. Who wants to watch ads for the next minute? I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that because then that's going to be in my saved video. Oh, predict. Shoot. You know what? I don't know if my bot is connected. Hold on. Let me do that, and then you guys can play with the bot while I'm away here. Hold on. Let me make sure it's connected, because I don't think I connected it on this session, or it might have connected automatically. Twitch bot. I'm going to turn him off. I'm going to turn him on. There. Okay. There it is. It's in the chat. So if you guys want to give the predictions and give me, like I said, I'm going to be back in about just 2 to 3 minutes. I'm just going to go make a fresh pot of coffee here. Okay, guys, and I'm back, and let me just check my volume because I wouldn't want to start talking and not actually have you guys hear me. And it's pretty much time to almost start setting up for that arrival into Vancouver at this point anyways. So thank you guys for your guesses there. I hope that one of them works out for you. I'll forego on the guessing this time. So the coffee is slowly percolating, and in a couple minutes I'll have to go up and get myself my cup of coffee, but we are close enough to Vancouver where I can see the downwind. There's the arrival, so the arrival starts at Mitow, and that's the downwind leg. I guess it's a 100-mile downwind leg. Different airplanes draw different lengths if there's a vector leg. The Embraers draw a 50-mile vector leg, but I guess the 737 draws a 100-mile vector leg. That's funny. Anyways. Yeah, what else was I going to do here? Let me see here. One other thing I was going to do as well is we can have a little poll here, and this is not going to necessarily be binding, but if I can figure out how to do it, I thought I could do a poll, but maybe I can't. Maybe not. I thought I could. I thought I could run a poll here. I wanted to run a poll just to see. Oh, I can run all sorts of ad breaks. I can run a 3-minute ad break if I wanted to. Do I really want to subject you guys to 3 minutes of ads? I do not. I do not want to do that. I'm not that kind of person. Oh, yeah, there we go. I can do a poll. Okay. Because I'm curious. Which airlines I should apply to. So, for my next leg... what are some of the CRJ operators out there? I can't look it up now because you can't look at the details of let's see, what am I trying to say here? You can't look at the details of a pilot's life. How do I want to apply, but I have no idea how. Okay, let me just do this first because I just want to get this poll up here and running. So I'm trying to think what other operators operate the CRJ here in North America. I mean, I could put that one down. I really don't want that as an answer, but anyways. Endeavor, there you go. I could do Endeavor. There's Mesa. I don't think I can have more than... Yeah. ExpressJet. I have to decide. Anyways, I'm just going to put a couple of them here anyways. It's not necessarily binding, but... I'll put a 5-minute poll on this anyways. So now there should be a poll. I don't know how you guys see it here. Yeah, I think at the top of the chat window you guys have a poll and you can vote on which airline you think I should go work for next. And again, it's not going to be binding. I'm not guaranteeing 100% that I'm going to follow this, but I'm just kind of curious to see what you guys would suggest. So these are a bunch of CRJ operators within North America. So these are some of the choices that you have through a pilot's life to apply to. So Lucas was asking how to apply to virtual airlines. Any of them have the 320 as well? I'm going to say no. So I'll answer that question first because that's probably the easy one. Probably I'm going to say no. None of those operators are going to operate 320s because of the scope clause. So the scope clause basically says that at any of these major airlines, that are unionized, the union has put a clause into their contract that the airline cannot contract operations out to a regional airline with airplanes that are bigger than a certain size. And in general, the scope clause is stuck at 70 seats. Some places it's like 75 or 80 seats, but something in that range. So they cannot. So they can't get their regional affiliates to operate an airplane larger than that, which is why these CRJ, that's all they operate, are these CRJs, maybe the Embraers, the small Embraers, the 170s, the 175s, not even the big Embraers. The big Embraers are stuck in the main line. So that's why you won't be able to operate a 320 at any of these either, because the 320 is obviously way outside of the scope clause, usually being, 100, I don't even know, 130, 150, 200 people in a 320 family airplane. So the regionals will not be allowed to operate them because of the contracts that the unions have with the main lines. So no regional airline is going to operate a 320. So that's the only thing. But what you can do is you could sort of look at it too and say, well, what are these? A lot of these routes are going to be. All these operators are going to be affiliated with a mainline carrier. So which of the mainline carriers operate 320s? That's one way of looking at it. But yeah. These companies will not operate a 320 because they are specifically created only to operate small aircraft, generally 70 seats or less. Okay, how to apply to a virtual airline? Well, I mean, that's basically every airline's got their own way of doing it. In your case, like you said, you fly to Virtual Air Transat. Every virtual airline has got its own way of doing things, so just go to their websites and apply to the website. The trouble is that all of these are volunteer-run organizations, and some of them fall by the wayside, even though they may still have a website that's been paid for the next 2 or 3 years. Their management may give up on them at some point. There was a virtual porter at one point, and then that kind of failed as well. Some airlines come and go, and some of them are fairly permanent and have been around for a long time. So if you haven't heard from anybody, you can always try again. But yeah, try applying again. They're just volunteer organizations, and in some cases, the people who run them just run out of time to run them. And the same is true of all these flight sim organizations and VATSIM as well. And I'll say this right now: as a staff member of several different parts of VATSIM, some days you just get so many emails from different people who want something, whether it be whether they're trying to apply to your organization or whether they just have questions. Or they want to know what their status is, and sometimes it turns into literally, I'll literally have, a dozen emails a week from different people that I have to answer for different things that are going on. So it's very, first of all, I'll always counsel patience with these virtual organizations, because they are just people volunteering their time, and they're definitely not out there every single day. But I mean, if you haven't heard anything back for like a week or two, anything more than a week, then maybe the organization maybe the organization has not maybe the organization is no longer functioning, I guess is probably the best way to say it. I don't need to create a virtual airline, because you're right, first of all, I don't have the time. But the second thing is yeah, like, it's been done. There's lots of different ones out there to choose from. It's as much about which airlines you're a fan of, but there's also what you want from your virtual airline. Some of them are very hyper-realistic. Some of them are very casual. If you're interested in the casual, Canadian Express is fantastic, because they don't have a rigorous route flight schedule. You fly where you want. They give you, when you become a member, you've got different liveries, and you can... people selected Jazz as the winner. I was kind of hoping to get away from Canada a little bit. That's my only thing. Yeah, I was kind of hoping to get away from Canada. That's why I kind of wanted to go with the American airports, because there's not a lot of good scenery in Canada yet either. That's my other problem. There's not a lot of good scenery for places to fly with Jazz yet. That's why I saw it and I thought about it, but I kind of shied away a little bit from it for that reason. I was kind of looking for an American carrier, just because there's a lot more good airports coming out quickly, fast and furious in America. But yeah, so if you want casual, Canadian Express is really good. They don't have rigorous route structures or anything. They're very free. I think you only have to fly like once every 90 days once you become a member, and it's really very easy going. There's other ones. The Virtual Air Canada is very, very hyper-realistic, to the point of almost, I hate to say absurdity, but frustration anyways, because they take the weekly schedule from Air Canada and post it, and only one person can fly each flight when it appears in the weekly schedule. And the trouble is, like with the pandemic, and of course Air Canada has reduced their flight load by 90% plus, so Virtual Air Canada reduced their flight load by 90% plus, and people who are members of this airline are having a hard time getting enough hours in and flying for that airline because all the flights are being taken. There's only so few flights to do, and they're all being taken. So that to me is a little bit perhaps extreme, and yes, that's what's happening in the real world. And if you want to simulate the real world to that degree, then by all means. But it's a little bit sad because the people who want to be a part of this airline and want to fly under its banner can't even fly under the banner because there's so few flights to choose from. Yeah, Virtual Air Canada, so, and because they're realistic, they want a pilot rating. So yeah. If you want an easygoing airline, Canadian Express is very easy. It's not a real-world airline, but it's a very easygoing airline. Yeah, there's different ones have different levels, so definitely look around out there. I know there's Virtual FedEx and Delta. I believe there's a Virtual WestJet if you're interested in Canadian Airlines. So there's definitely different ones out there doing different things. You can shop around, and I mean, it doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time to join one. So if you join one and you decide you don't like it after the fact, it really hasn't cost you anything more than a little bit of time along the way too. So that's the other way to look at it. I really should start setting up for this arrival here because I can see that top of descent point already scrolling into view. So I'm thinking I'm going to do that right now here. Get this. So we've already done the performance calculation here. We've crunched the numbers, even with auto brake 2, because this failure is not considered serious. We're going to take 6,800 feet. Just as a curiosity, if I had not reacted in time, let's see here. If I had not reacted in time and we were stuck with a flaps up landing here, landing distance required 4,005 feet. I'm going to guess that it would require a max auto brake landing if we had a complete and total flap loss. So I'm just curious now. Now you guys have got me thinking a little bit too about the potential loss of system B. So I'm going to just read through this loss of system B, scan through it. Auto brake and op, normal brakes in op, leading edge flaps and flats, normal hydraulic. Oh, okay, so you can actually operate the flaps. Trailing edge flaps can be operated with the alternate electrical system. Alternate flap extension time to flap 15 is approximately 2 minutes. So you can still operate the flaps, so it wouldn't have been a total a total loss on us anyways if that had happened, but it would have been, we would have had to use the backup flap system. Yeah, I'm going to guess that was probably that's it. Like in this case, if it's a flaps up landing, then it's assumed it's full max reverse, full flap. So there should be a different one for flapless landing. Let's see here if I can find flap failure or flap load relief. Flight controls. Where are flight controls? Flight controls is usually its own separate chapter, and there's usually should be information there about flaps up landing. I guess maybe they consider it not possible if you've got the electric backup, but they could get jammed too. They could get jammed at any position. Auto throttle. Sorry, I'm just looking through my QRH trying to find the chapter on flight controls. APU, fire, flight controls. Let's see here. All flaps up landing. That's what I'm looking for, just as a curiosity. So if we were to do the all flaps up landing, and we're not going to, but set VREF 40 plus 55 knots. Auto brake. It doesn't even say specifically. Doesn't even say specifically, but I would imagine it would be auto brake max. I would certainly do auto brake max without flaps if I'm coming in at 190 knots. Huh, okay, anywho, so we've done the performance calculation. Let's go ahead and get, we don't even need flaps 40, we can do flaps 30 today. It's fine, we've got a plenty long runway, we know it's good. So we're going to do the flaps 30 landing today in Vancouver. Also with the lower flap setting, we don't need to spend as long deploying the flaps. Let's see here. Yeah, max auto brake is definitely not comfortable, but it's nice to know it's there if you need it, and that's really what it comes down to, is if you need it, it's there. It's not something you would normally select under any circumstance, but it's all but lock the tires, kind of stop it. It would be very uncomfortable, but it's there if you need it. Okay, so we need to get some information here as well. Let's get charts. So let's start setting up this whole thing here, terminal charts. So let's go and work on our chart clip here. So we're on a Grizz 6 arrival. And let's see, we also need parking gates. And we need the approach, which we're planning the ILS to runway 26 right at this time. Can I see the Vancouver Arrival controller yet? No, he's not within range yet, so I can't see his ATIS yet either. That's okay. We're going to assume we're landing west at this point. Actually, no, sorry. Probably landing east. Winds 140 at 7. Yeah, we're probably actually landing east. Alright, now I'm going to actually... Hold on, let's pull it up on VATSIM. I will ACARS the ATIS early here, because I don't need to be messing with this later too. Let's see, CYVR. And, oh, there it is. Okay, good. It was sort of... yeah, actually we're landing east, so we're landing 8 left. Okay. And, oh yeah, Nuclear Jet, thank you very much for subscribing as well. I appreciate that. That's just going to go and fund my airports for, for MSFS at this point, so I can fly the CRJ around to some nice airports. And then when we have the NGXU, we'll have those nice airports already set up and ready to go. Okay, so first thing we got to do here is switch around for arriving on 8 left. So we are doing an 8 left arrival today. So 8 left, Grizz 6 to 8 both. Still the METOW transition, execute. And then let's just check the legs. That's gone, so let's make this METOW execute. Make sure that it still is, yeah, we're still direct to GEG, that's good. Which is Spokane. And then we need to, again, just make sure, shouldn't change the ref speed anyways. Alright, and then, now that we've got the star programmed in, let's just program in the arrival data here. Oh, you're good, don't do that. Okay, good. So for 26, nope. Nope, I had selected 26 right, but we don't need 26 right. We need 8 left. Alright, so for 8 left, we got a frequency of 1055 and 83 on the inbound course. So 1055. And 083 on the inbound course. Set course on your side, 83. Oh. 8-3. Tie game this time. Alright. Okay, so we got that. We got the inbound course. Minimum's 213. We're not going to be doing the flapless landing. We were considering what would have happened. We might have had to do it, but fortunately we caught it just before we reached that point. Because that would have made it very nerve-wracking, to say the least. Because then that would have been a floater. It would have been... and I'm a floater to begin with, and then that would have been a real float down the runway. Probably would have been a real hard impact. Wouldn't have been pretty, but we would have got there. Hey, I'm not making you change the arrival runway. There's an arrival controller. He's going to make you do it anyway, so don't blame me for the arrival runway. No descent path after TATCO. That's fine. Don't worry about that. All right. So I think we've got everything in there. We'll select a gate a little bit later on, but yeah, I think we're just about ready. And actually, what we got to do also is set up this as well for the arrival, so he makes out all the right calls here. 213 is the minimums, and I need to go back to the approach again for these two. So let's see here. FAF crossing is going to be 1290, and then missed approach is 3500. So 1290, 3500. If I have a moment here, we'll look up single engine taxi. Actually, maybe we can do that at least, which we would not do with a hydraulic failure actually, but we'll talk about it in a second here. Alright, so I'm just going to step out again for 1 minute and actually get my cup of coffee now that my pod is done, and then we'll come in and we'll do this briefing. So give me 1 minute, guys. We'll be right back. Okay, guys, and I'm back. Thank you very much for your patience. I just had to get my cup of coffee, so I am ready for this arrival now. Okay. Are you ready for the approach briefing?
I'm ready for the brief.
All right. So, we have already checked the landing distance and the speeds are in. We're going to start with the Grid 6 arrival today. Oh, this is not the right one because this is the 26 left. Stand by. The 8s. There we go. Alright, so this is on plate 10-2 Echo and effective on the 21st of September of 2018. This is the Grid 6 arrival. There's no notes anywhere. 100 mile safe is 12,800. We're going to join the arrival at Metau. After Metau, we go to Ilsa. We cross Pitsy at or above 14,000, and actually I should have this on here in the corner, so let me just do that. Not that one, that one. And let me just pause my track IR on here so it's just a little nicer to see. There we go. Yeah. Okay, so as I said, we're on our way to Metau now. We're going to cross Ilsa Pitsy at or above 14,000, then Egret at 280 at between 10 and 12, and that's in there. Then Tatco at or above 10,000. Then we go to the Vancouver VOR at or above 8,000, and then NACMA at 210 knots at or above 3,000. Excuse me. And then after that, we continue on the 263 track until we get vectored around by the approach controller to runway 08 left. And so this is going to be on plate 11-1, the 25th of January of 2019, 110.55 and 083. I see 083 twice, 10.55 twice. Glide slope at VATSIM is going to be 1290. It's there. And the ILSDA, again, 213. And just see the corner of it poking through there, but it is 213 set. Touchdown zone at 13 feet. And we got 0 set for the landing altitude, so that works. Missed approach, sorry, the MSA is highest northwest of the field, north of the field 7,000 feet. To the south and southeast it's a little better. Missed approach is climbed to 420 feet, heading 083, then a climbing left turn to 3,500, heading 051. Intercept radial 264 to the Pit Meadows VOR. So 420, intercept 84 to Pit Meadows and hold at 3,500, that's all there. And then the notes, radar are not required, safe altitude 100 miles, 12,800, procedure turn not authorized, simultaneous turn approaches authorized with 8 right, and localizer reliable only within 10 degrees of the center line. And again, we've got MCAM, Dulce, Midva, those ones are all missing, but VATSIM is in there, and runway 08 left. No notes on the plan. It's a 3-degree glide slope, PAPI's on the left, ALSF 2 lighting system, RVR 2600 or half miles, VFR day, so it shouldn't be no problem getting in there. After landing, it's convenient right turn off the runway. With the auto brake 2, will probably be around Mach 3, maybe Mach 5. And then from there, it's a very short taxi in. This is the transborder area up here, so we'll pick a gate up in that area to arrive at, let's say gate 75 is the plan right now. So gate 75 is the plan, and we'll see how that looks, but that's the transborder area there. Oh, my throat is really wearing out here. It's not too often I do a 3-hour stream with no break, but this one's just working out that we're just sort of going to reach this top of descent point here soon and start down, so might as well just stay in the flight deck and keep doing it. VTN 202, I have no idea. Okay, sorry, let me finish my briefing. So that's it for the charts terrain. Again, it's Vancouver, so there is high terrain, mostly north of the airport and east of the airport if you go far enough east, also west of Vancouver Sound. So anything goes wrong, generally turning south is going to take us most likely out over Vancouver Sound and keep us free from any terrain. Let's see here. Weather is a beautiful day. It's fairly light wind out of the southeast. Operational. So obviously we have this failure of the engine-driven pump. The only impact it's going to have is probably going to make our potentially flaps go down a little bit slower than normal. So what we're going to do is we are just going to request a longer final than normal. I'm going to request at least a 15-mile final so that we have lots of time to get configured. Just to give us a little bit of extra room to get the flaps down, because they probably will cause the pump to kind of strain a little bit to get them down, so they probably will move a little slower than usual. Other than that, it's going to be a fairly normal landing. If this were the real world, we'd probably actually call and have emergency services meet us there, just because we're concerned about hydraulic fluid leaking, especially because we did lose 28%. It seems to have stopped, but the best thing to do is stop on the runway and just have the emergency services come and check. And if there is hydraulic fluid leaking, you'd shut the airplane down and just get a tow in, because you don't want to taxi around with leaking hydraulic fluid. You don't want to leave that around the airport. It's not good. It's slippery. It's also flammable. So you'd rather get towed in and not have the hydraulic fluid leaking while you're trying to taxi, potentially possibly leaking onto hot brakes that are underneath the engine nacelle. So yeah, that's a consideration. In this reality, we're going to just say we can't have the emergency service anyway, so we're just going to clear the runway and taxi to the gate where maintenance will meet us. Yeah, exactly. Leave you a trail of fluid to follow off the runway. I've seen that. I saw that at, I think it was Newark. Somebody had a hydraulic leak, didn't realize it, taxied halfway around the airport and left a huge long stream of hydraulic fluid before somebody called them out on it. And it created a huge problem, because it had to, everywhere they stopped, to create a big puddle, and then nobody wanted to taxi to the puddle, because it's not good for tires. It won't like it dissolve the tires, but it will, like, it's not good for the tires to get hydraulic fluid on them. It will eat away at the tires eventually. So nobody wanted to taxi through, so it kind of created a real nightmare while they had to call some guys to come and clean up this whole big long trail around half the airport. So yeah, so we don't want to leave that trail behind us, but yeah, we're going to say that just for the sake of this, there's no emergency services, so we're just going to go to the gate. Yeah, nuclear jet, I did talk about that when I first started, so give me a minute and let me finish this up and I'll talk about it. NOTAMs, let's just have a quick look at the NOTAMs as well while we're talking about stuff here in in our briefing here. Let me finish this briefing before I get distracted again. So there is Phoenix, there's Vancouver, Mike between Mike 4 and Papa, Mike 1, Mike 2 closed. Okay, so let's just have a little look-see here. Mike between Papa, Mike 1. Okay, what did that say? let's see that one more time here. Actually, let's do this. Let's get the other chart view up here because it's better for seeing taxiways. Because this could impact our taxi in here. It's good to have an understanding of what's closed so that when you get a slightly unusual taxi instruction, you understand why. So Mike between Mike 4 and Papa. So Mike between Mike 4 and Papa. So this section of Mike right here. And Mike 1 and Mike 2 are both closed. Okay, yeah, that's fine. And Mike 9 is closed, which is the end one here. Aircraft on Mike 9. Okay, Mike 7. Mike 8 closed. That's that end. And let's see here, runway 6 right. No, nothing about 8 left. 8 left. I love that they highlight the runway numbers because that's really what you're looking for, trying to match what you got. Okay, so no temps affecting us. Fuel, to go to Comox, we need about 5.1. We're showing about 7 point something here. 8.7. That can't be right because we've only got 8.5 in the tank right now. Oh, no, sorry. That's the fuel quantity right now. Yeah, okay. So 6.9. So, yeah, so we got about almost a ton and a half anyways of extra fuel. So we can probably hold for about 15 minutes before we have to go to Comox. We can do a go-around. Shouldn't be a problem. And that's about it. Any questions? Very good. All right, I'm just going to get 28.6 up here for the arrival controller and nuclear jet. So you were talking about the PMDG announcement this morning, and that was, yeah, that got me excited. So that was pretty much the first thing I talked about when I hit cruise. Was I talked about the PMDG announcement. What's my opinion of the DC-6? Now that's a great question. I don't know. I haven't flown it. It looks like a beautifully kind of classic airliner if you really want to kind of go old school and ditch the electronics and fly steam gauges. It definitely looks like the plane to do. I don't know. I'm a child of the modern age. I really am. You know, this is the flying that I know and understand. And it's not that I don't understand how steam gauges work and I can read them, but I'm very used to having electronic flight deck. I would probably enjoy it. Whether or not I'm going to spend the kind of money that PMDG wants to charge for it, I don't know. But now that you're sort of asking the question, you're making me think about it a little bit more. I sort of dismissed it as that's something I'm not interested in. But yeah, maybe I'm being a little bit too quick to the gun for myself anyways. Certainly from my pilot's life career, there's not too many people flying DC-6s anymore. So I don't even know what it fits under. Does it fit under short hauler or long hauler? There it is. Not the most expensive airplane in the world. I'm just looking at this is the P3D version because obviously the MSFS version is not out yet. Not the longest haul airplane in the world. But a fun little airplane nevertheless. Like, you know, four engine piston airplanes. And with the kind of realism that you'd get, like, you'll have to manage these airplanes. You'll have to manage cylinder head temperatures. All those little cowl flaps sticking out, you'll have to manage those and open them and close them at the appropriate times. Follow the checklist. This would be a very different animal to learn. I don't know if I have it in me right now, but it's not to say that I don't. I mean, look at the gauges, but it's the kind of, you know, if it's got PMDG's level of sim dedication, then it could make for a very interesting red. You know, like a very interesting airplane to try and operate. I dismissed it kind of initially as like, oh, it's not something I'm interested in, but maybe I need to rethink myself on this. Maybe it would be kind of fun to get out there and fly that. Yeah, this is not, and again, this is not terrible. $70. I mean, it's obviously like you would have to, in order to justify spending that, you have to say to yourself, this is something I'm going to spend a lot of time in. This is not something I'm going to buy on a whim and fly it twice and be done with it. I have to commit to, I'm going to get in the airplane and I'm going to learn this airplane and I'm going to fly it and I'm going to put 100 hours into it, you know, throughout a couple of years anyways. But I want to put a lot of time into this if I'm going to spend that kind of money on this airplane. Is it worthwhile? I mean, Aircraft performance operators for these unique aircraft are highly accurate to their real-world counterparts. Features external model, fully interactive, dynamic virtual cockpit, ramp manager, fuel load manager, artificial flight engineer. Yes, you would need a flight engineer for this. Maintenance manager, realism options, realistic animations, engine model, airplane systems and equipment, realistic fuel system, AC/DC electrical bus system, realistic immersive sound system, add-on liveries, flight model. You know, and now you guys have already. Now you guys are already tempting me. I'll have to see. First of all, I have to see PMDG post a price on that before I even think about it. But it would definitely be outside of my comfort zone. It would be interesting to do it and to stream it. How's our top of descent point? About 30 miles to top of descent here. It's not my cup of tea. Because like I use this, I use this, and especially in this Twitch channel, I use this to kind of try and teach a little bit about how we do this in the real world. I have no idea how to operate a DC-6 in the real world. The last piston-powered airplane I flew, God, I flew one. I have a buddy from England who's a doctor, and he came over and he just wanted to fly. So between the two of us, we got checked out. He's a pilot as well, but we got checked out and we flew. This was probably, I don't even know. Even that was probably more than 10 years ago. The last time I probably flew a piston-powered airplane outside of a simulator was probably 12 to 13 years ago. So jet airliners are what I know. They're what I do. Turbine airplanes are what I do. But I'm curious, would you guys want to see me try and take on this airplane? Tackle the DC-6 in Microsoft Flight Simulator and try and not even necessarily stitch a career, but just try and fly it. Just try and pick some places to fly and fly it, because that's something that I would consider it. I would consider it, and especially, I'll say this now, you know, my first paycheck from YouTube is almost on its way. I finally almost crossed the threshold where I'm actually going to get a payment. I had kind of earmarked some of that money for certain things, but I would be willing to consider it. You know, I would be willing to consider putting the DC-6 in front of you guys and let's go have some fun with it. Let's see here. Let's do this. La la la, because I can have fun with my Twitch channel. The thing is, you guys are going to make me have to learn it, because I would not want to get down there and be an amateur hour. I'm going to have to learn how to operate this bloody airplane. Billions incoming. Yeah. Anyway, so there's a little poll. Yeah, I don't even know necessarily too much about how to necessarily donate. I've thought about setting up a PayPal account for donations, but you know, and I'm not really looking for handouts at this point in time. I'm just looking to the biggest thing I'm looking for from and the reason why, like I've said this before, why I have advertising on my channels is mostly I'm just looking to offset the cost of this hobby more than anything. I end up spending more money than I plan on it, and especially with you guys watching, you're encouraging me to spend even more money than I had planned on it. One thing that I did actually recently finally splurge on, and you guys have probably noticed it, was down there in the corner. Hold on, let me pull it back up again. But nope, not doing it. Come on, you can do it, you can do it. But one thing you guys may have noticed if you're astute viewers of my channel is the fact that I did actually invest money in a much better, higher quality webcam. Now, albeit it's dark down here right now, but I did actually. Oh, top of descent alert. I did actually just finally. I found a decent webcam on sale. It was a pretty good webcam actually, and I decided to finally splurge the money on a better quality webcam. And this was kind of a surprise I was saving. So my next chapter of a pilot's life, I'm going to actually throw up the webcam in the corner. not just as an FMS, but I'm actually going to put myself back on screen again. I used to do it back in the day, and I found that the quality was so poor of my old webcam that I just couldn't deal with it. It was so bad. So, but that's the thing. That's the reason why I have advertising on Twitch and on YouTube. Is really I'm just looking to offset a little bit of the cost of this hobby, and especially some of the things when you invest in trying to stream, you need a little bit higher quality. Certainly a decent quality webcam. I could probably use a decent quality headset. This headset is actually ridiculously cheap that I use to record on, but it's comfortable, so I use it. Right now I'm squawking 2,000. Yeah, I've thought about things like setting up like a Patreon and all that sort of stuff. I'm not really, I don't know. I'm not. Like I said, I'm not hugely looking for handouts. I'm just looking to offset the cost of that I've invested to streaming a little bit. 1200, technically squibbly 1200 is VFR. So if you're squawking 1200, you're telling everybody that you're a VFR out there. Normally in Canada, actually, you want to squawk 1,000. I think in America it's 2,000. In Canada, it's normally 1,000 for an IFR without an assigned squawk code. So I should probably actually be squawking 1,000. There we go. Anyways, when we get into Vancouver's airspace, he's going to give us a unique code. 1200 is the default VFR code. So if you're flying around VFR, always put 1200 until you're asked to put something else on. If you're flying IFR, there's different ones. In Canada, it should be 1,000 until you get told something else. Anyways, we're getting down there now. We started our descent. That's part of what I'm here for. I'm here to try and teach you something, anyways. Not. And that's the nice thing about doing this kind of on a weekly basis as well, and not trying to throw a whole lot of new stuff, but by sort of talk about different topics every week, you introduce people to different little bits of knowledge, and we slowly grow our knowledge. I did not learn what I know, in a matter of days and weeks, and I have crammed a few things here and there from time to time, week to week, especially when you move to a new company and you learn a new airplane. You have to cram like mad for a couple of weeks to learn a new airplane, but an experienced pilot has accrued knowledge from years and years of experience of talking to other people and rules that you never really thought applied to you, and they happen to apply to this one particular case, and you either knew it or you didn't, but then you said, okay, well, I'm going to go and double check and look up the rule after that particular case, and you learn it better that way than trying to study like mad for an exam, and you'll learn it, but then you learn so much so quickly that a lot of it doesn't get used and gets forgotten. So I've pieced this knowledge together over, decades now of experience. So I'm happy to try and share that piece by piece with you, and that's how we become better pilots. We don't become better pilots overnight. Yes, taking one of the VATSIM pilot rating courses will help you. It absolutely will. You'll learn all sorts of stuff you never knew before, but some of that stuff you learn there, you'll forget. You'll forget again. Hopefully you'll be kind of aware of it, and you'll know how to look it up again if you ever need it. And that's one of the biggest things for a pilot. It's not about memorizing everything under the sun, because it's impossible. If you've ever seen the operations manual for a typical airline, the operations manual for a typical airline is anywhere from 300 to 500 pages. The manual for this airplane, for the just volume 2 of this, the manual for the 737 is 1,200 pages. Volume 1 is like another 500 pages. Nobody can learn that all. Nobody can memorize that all. And there's lots of kind of boilerplate in there too. There's amendment lists and all sorts of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's not about knowing everything. It's about knowing enough to operate day to day and knowing how to find the information you need when you don't, when you don't know it. You can't know everything. The key is to know where to look for the information you don't know. So know where to find it. Do I have to go look in the regulations? Do I go look in our operations manual? Do I go look in the airplanes manual? Knowing where to find the answers to the questions. That's the biggest trick of becoming a pilot and becoming a professional pilot. It's not memorizing things like crazy. And actually, the airlines frown on you memorizing things beyond a certain thing. They want you to memorize certain things. Emergency procedures, yes, memorize emergency procedures, and certain things have to be memorized. But things that you don't use every day, they don't want you to memorize it. They want you to look it up. When they do check rides, you'll often lose points if you try to recite something from memory. Because if you get it wrong, you'll lose points. But if you say, I think it's this, but I'm just going to double check, and you go to your EFB, you go and you look in your document, and you say, oh yeah, it's right here. Here's the rules for land and hold short operations for our company. These are the rules. I don't use it every day, so I don't know it off by heart, so I know it's right here in this manual. Here's the rules. Here's what I have to know. You'll get full points for that. You won't get Dr. Mark because you had to look it up. You'll get full points because you knew where to find it and you found the answer when you needed it. What PDF did you want to see? Sorry, the... like here's the PDF, and this is the volume 2 of the 737 FCOM, 1,240 pages. I couldn't memorize this. Now, things that you should memorize if you are really truly the captain of this airplane is you should have this stuff. I should have known as a captain of this airplane. I should have a good idea of what's on the various systems. I shouldn't know every single detail, but hydraulic systems and what's on each system, very useful to know that. There's certain things that you should know, and any limitations. Limitations are in volume 1, but any limitations of your aircraft, you should know that. Things like this, the length and height of your airplane, and the wingspan especially. The wingspan of your airplane, you should know that off by heart, because you see that all the time on charts. Maximum wingspan 135 feet or whatever. You should know some of those things. There are some things you should have memorized, but most of this you're not going to memorize. You just can't. So the key is to know how and where to look it up. Okay, transitioning. Let's go ahead standard. Energy, what is it in Vancouver here? Let's grab his ATIS one more time. Information Bravo. 3016. I never did set this, so. And you know what I didn't do as well while we were chatting? I didn't do the descent check, so let's do that really quick. Descent checklist.
Descent checklist. Pressurization. Landing altitude is 0 feet. Recall checked. Auto brake off. Landing data.
VREF 140. Minimums 213 feet set. Minimums 213 feet set.
Checked. Approach briefing.
Complete.
Descent checklist complete.
Vancouver Arrival, good morning. WestJet 1771 with you. 14,000 descending 12,000 on the Grid 6 arrival. Nope. Is that not working? Vancouver Arrival, good morning. WestJet 1771.
The cabin is secure.
Why am I getting nothing? I got 28.6. I got COM 1. I'm transmitting.
WestJet 1771, Vancouver Terminal.
Vancouver, WestJet 1771. How do you read? I hear him, but he doesn't hear me, so what am I doing wrong here? Vancouver, WestJet 1771. No, don't make me go to text only. I hate text only. I'm going to try switching my audio device again here. Vancouver Arrival, WestJet 1771. How do you read?
WestJet 1771, Vancouver Terminal. Hello.
Okay, thank you very much. I guess we had a little audio device issue. WestJet 1771, we're just crossing egret now at 12,000 on the Grid 6 with information Bravo.
WestJet 1771, thanks for Bravo. Expect ILS runway 08 left approach. Squawk 0746.
Squawk 0746, WestJet 1771. Here it is, 0746. And let's just...
WestJet 1771, descend 10,000, 10,000.
Descend 10,000, WestJet 1771. Just going to do this in VS because we got a long time for this descent here, and let's do this as well. Approach checklist.
Altimeters.
3016 set.
3016 set. Approach checklist complete.
All right. ATC volume is low, thank you. I will turn that up a little bit. it gets really kind of, yeah, I'm always tweaking it now between Microsoft Flight Simulator and this. Alright, so yeah, so sorry about that, guys. It was just was a problem with... earlier when I'd had the audio issues, I had unplugged and replugged my mic, and I guess that was also impacting my... vPilot did not recognize it when I plugged it back in, so... oh well. Still at also... you'll get here. You'll get here. You'll catch up to us. And Vancouver Arrival, WestJet 1771 with a request.
WestJet 1771, go ahead with request.
1011.
Now, WestJet 1771, we had a little bit of a hydraulic issue earlier. We'd just like to request a long final today, at least 15 miles if we could, just to make sure we have time to get our flaps out.
Alright, WestJet 1771, roger. We can accommodate your request, expect that.
Thank you so much. Before I forget and shock them at the last minute with that request, I almost forgot it myself, and we talked about it in the briefing, and then I forgot about it again. Because, yeah, that engine-driven pump has still failed. Okay, so he's got lights on, we got seatbelts on, we got everyone being seated. Yeah, everything's coming along nicely here. And then the other thing, select a gate. We said 75, I believe, right? I believe that's what we said. We're not below 10,000 yet. We have to be below 10,000 before GSX will let us pick the gate. Alright, but, yeah. For those of you that are watching the stream right now and don't know, there is a Twitch bot watching, and if you type in !predict, you can enter in a prediction of my landing rate. So let's see here. So if you were to type it, let's see here. So I just put it in chat there. So if you type in !predict followed by a number, you can guess what the landing rate's going to be. 4 entries, there we go. I think that's the most we've had in this contest so far. It's just for fun. It doesn't really get you anything more than bragging rights. Or me bragging rights. But just something, it's included in Sim Toolkit Pro, so why not take advantage of it?
1771, descend to 8,000.
Descend to 8,000, WestJet 1771. Go for level change now. And yeah, I'm just going to just check on my audio because now it's sounding a little distorted here. And I just wonder if vPilot is cranked down. No, it should be okay. Okay. Anyways, hopefully that's better balanced now. There is Vancouver down there, and that's the terrain right there. That's why we don't turn north. If we have any kind of failures or problems or issues, we turn south. We got all this flat land, all these sounds to deal with, lots of space to deal with our problems there, but we don't turn north. Alright, so we're below 10,000, so we should be able to select a gate now. If we can do it. Yep, Vancouver. And I believe it's going to be E for 75. Nope, it's D.
Vancouver approach, good afternoon, Jazz over 15 with you, just approaching airspace from the west at 240.
75, there it is. And why is there no like WestJet offered in Vancouver? Honestly, that kind of throws me.
Vancouver Terminal, Squawk 0734 9
1011.
0734 at Jazz 15.
Alright, well anyways, the next thing we're going to do, definitely within our streams, is definitely going to be taking on the CRJ. I know you guys all voted for Jazz. I'm kind of staying away from Jazz only because there's not a lot of good scenery for Canadian airports yet. Vancouver being one of the only ones that's really done, and that's one that's really holding me back is like Toronto, for example. We need to have good scenery in Toronto before I think we can do... Oh, now it's loading the Vancouver scenery. That's why it's paused. There goes the Vancouver scenery loading. And that's an SSD still.
715 identified. Information Bravo is current.
So I'm definitely, that's why I'm leaning towards like an American carrier, because there's a lot more airports out there still in America right now that are coming out fast and furious, so I can make better use, I think, of American airports. So that's why I don't want to do Jazz. And I kind of want to do Jazz, I do, because I like Canada. I want to fly through Canada. I want to support the Canadian FIRs because they tend to be online more when I'm streaming. You guys support me much better than the American FIRs do. But, yeah, it's just...
1771, descend 5,000.
Descend 5,000, WestJet 1771. That's the reason why, is that I just don't want to it's not that I don't want to fly to Canada, but I don't want to fly too many default airports, especially the major airports. Like Toronto looks terrible in MSFS. Knowing what the real world looks like, the sim version's a terrible version. So we need good scenery to come out. When that good scenery comes out, then I'll definitely consider switching to Jazz. Vancouver's the only one that I think in MSFS of the major Canadian airports that has scenery out there. Although someone did do a freeware Montreal Trudeau that's actually pretty good as well. So, yeah. I'm kind of waiting for the sim platform to evolve a little more. So that's why I'm leaning towards American carrier. That's why SkyWest to me seems like kind of the best bet. But I'll look at them all. SkyWest has got the most diverse route network, so we'll have the most fun. We'll see a lot of very different places with it. And they're based in airports that have decent scenery. I've got the Chicago O'Hare, the default Dallas, DFW. I have a Denver, Los Angeles. It's got a good one out there. So there's lots of kind of good ones for the American flying right now. Got a lot of good hubs. Yeah, so I'll be logged off before you land. I have some faith. I might stick around and watch your landing. Put some pressure on you. So, yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards SkyWest. I'm going to apply to a couple of different American carriers and see which ones actually take me, because it's a bit of a gamble, too, in the pilot's life world. You don't know who you're going to necessarily become, who's going to accept your application. You apply to the airlines, but it's not a guarantee they're going to accept you, although as I've reached higher and higher ranks in a pilot's life, it's more likely. So I'll have to wait and see who accepts my applications.
WestJet 1771, descend 3000.
Descend 3000, thank you, WestJet 1771. Hashtag autoland. Even the autoland, it's going to look terrible in the current version of VATSIM, but when the new version comes out with the high res, the constant 5 position updates per second, it's going to the flares are going to look beautiful. Until then, yeah, it's all mechanical. I never did get around to talking about single engine taxi. Oh well. Next time I fly the 737, guys, remind me, and we'll try to talk about single engine taxi. I should be doing single engine taxi anyways with a failed hydraulic pump. Plain and simple. Okay, what happened to you? There you are. Alright, so let's start bringing the speed back a little bit here. And let's do this. Flaps 1.
Flaps 1.
And the hydraulic pressure is holding on flaps 1 here. Okay, good. It's holding 3,000 psi. Good, good, good. Yeah, no flickering lights there. Okay.
Vancouver Arrival, good morning, Air Canada 8229, flight level.
So far it's looking pretty good. What's their speed restriction at NACMA? It's 210, so let's get that 210 in there now anyways.
Madrid 6, information Bravo.
Air Canada 8229, thanks for Bravo, Squawk 0717, ident.
5000.
Squawk
Check.
0717, ident.
Flaps 5.
Flaps 5.
And WestJet 1771, depart NACMA, heading 260.
Depart NACMA heading 260, WestJet 1771. Alright, 260 heading set. We got about 1 minute to NACMA there, give or take. Alright, so we got flaps 5 out.
Canada 8229.
Didn't see any fluctuation in the hydraulic pressure, so it seems like it's holding pretty well.
ILS runway 08 left approach. Descend 10,000, 10,000.
So we're doing okay here. I think we're going to be okay. I think it's going to come down at a pretty normal rate.
10,010.
You'd rather hand fly pad? Yeah. I have a hard time with autoland. I've never flown a real airplane with autoland, and I just trust the human more than the airplane.
1011.
Also, I like it. It's the one chance where you actually get to fly the airplane, so it's the skill as much as anything else. You have to use it or lose it. I've been out of the flight deck for 3 months. It's gonna be rough. And we practice in the sim, but I'll tell you this, that even the level D sims, they have nothing on the real airplanes. They are reasonable facsimiles, but they are not the real airplanes, and they don't act like the real airplanes. Especially landing. The cues are better, but they're not perfect. You always tend to do hard landings in a sim. I rarely see anybody ever grease a sim, because you don't quite have the right sensation, and they don't quite react the same. They're very similar, but they're not the same as the real airplanes. Alright, 17 degrees outside. I don't think we need the anti-ice for this.
Jazz 715, speed 250 or less. 250 or less, S015.
Alright, there's a half mile to NACMA, so we'll do the heading 260. We're just going to start getting this airplane slowed down a little bit here. Where's my approach plate here? I just want to see where the actual glide slope intercept is going to be here. And MCAM 3000.
Jazz 715, descend 8,000. 8,000 Jazz 715.
Yeah, I think we're going to be okay. Just trying to measure out. MCAM is pretty much 15 DME, so yeah, so we're at the 15-mile final there.
WestJet 1771, vectors to final, turn right heading 350.
Right turn 350, WestJet 1771. Flaps 10.
Flaps 10.
Yeah, I think it's moving at a fairly normal rate. I don't see it doing anything too problematic here. Oh. Now I think we're getting it. Yeah. Flaps 10 is doing it. Okay. We got low pressure on that side as well. Flight controls. Yeah, we're getting low pressure now. As expected. Oh, it's not going to do it any further, is it? No. Oh, shoot. There's not enough hydraulic pressure to deploy the flaps any further than that. Oh, crud. Okay.
1771, turn right heading 050, cleared ILS runway 08 left approach.
Okay, right turn 050, cleared the ILS 08 left, WestJet 1771. Okay, arm the approach. Is it moving in
Approach
slow
armed.
increments, or is it just given up altogether? I think it's given up altogether. Why is this off? That should be on. Yeah, I think we're gonna have a problem here. And yeah, it's no, I don't think it's gonna do it. Okay, we're gonna have to sort this out now. And Vancouver Arrival, WestJet 1771.
WestJet 1771, go ahead.
Yeah, WestJet 1771, it looks like, yeah, our hydraulic issue has returned, and we're not going to be able to deploy our flaps any further. We're going to request some vectors for a few minutes while we run the checklist and set up for another landing.
Localizer alive.
WestJet 1771, roger, turn right heading 050.
Okay, right turn 050, WestJet 1771. And we are on heading 050, so okay, that works for me. Okay, so that just got interesting. Yeah, so now we got to go do the flap failure checklist, which is a good thing that I already looked it up. So let's see if I can find it here. Flat fail, Mach. So how do I get, so yeah, what am I looking for here?
WestJet 1771, turn right heading 110, descend 2000.
Okay, right turn 110 and down to 2000, WestJet to 1771. Okay, so 110 heading 2,000 feet set. I'm just trying to find here. Let's see here. Trailing edge flaps disagree. Asymmetry. Stabilizer. Okay, well, let's see. What lights have I got on here? So I got flight control, low pressure. Okay, yeah, that one, 9.7. Okay, so we're going to have degraded flight controls at this point. I'm going to leave...
Altitude checks.
715, descend 5,000.
Alright, hydraulic system pressure low, so ailerons, elevators, and rudders low. To activate the standby hydraulic system and standby rudder PCU. Flight control switch, affected side, confirm standby rudder. Okay, so first of all we need to get this onto standby rudder so that it is running normally. There we go. That's,
Are you sure about that?
oh, stop listening to me. Okay, so we got standby.
1771, turn left heading 080.
A left turn 080, WestJet 1771.
Runway.
Okay. I don't know where... Is there a checklist for flaps failed, though? Trailing edge flaps. Sorry, I'm just trying to peel my way through this checklist here and see if there is one that is really appropriate. The trailing edge flaps are less than 1. Trailing edge flaps disagree, I guess. Trailing edge flaps are not in the commanded position. There is no trailing edge flap asymmetry. So there is no trailing edge flap asymmetry. They're just in the... Okay, yeah, that's the one. So, objective to configure the airplane for landing. If trailing edge flap asymmetry exists, go to the other checklist. No. Choose one. Indicated flap position of 30 degrees and less than 40. 15, less than 30. I believe we're less than 15, aren't we? We're at about 8. So, yeah.
Glide slope alive.
Go to step 4. Plan to extend to flaps to 15 using the alternate extension. Alternate extension to flap 15 is approximately 2 minutes. The drag penalty with leading edge device extended...
1771, field is 7 miles straight ahead. Report field in sight.
WestJet 1771, we're still going to need about 5 more minutes to run this checklist before we can come back for landing.
Alright, WestJet 1771, turn right heading 180.
Thank you very much. Heading 180, WestJet 1771. I guess maybe I didn't communicate that clearly enough. Okay, heading 180. Set VREF 15 or VREF icing for landing. Okay, so now we got to set VREF 15 for landing. Which is 145. If any of the following conditions apply, set VREF ice equal VREF of 15 plus 10. Engine anti-ice, no. Wing anti-ice, no. Icing conditions, no. Check the non-normal configuration landing distance table in the advisory section. Oh yeah, we should probably check that now. Shoot. So many things to do when things fail. Okay, so, non-normal condition. Let's see here. Trailing edge, so this is it. Trailing edge, flap disagree, flap 1 to 15. We're going to go with that one. Alright.
715, descend 4,000. 4,000, 715.
And we're going to need 3,400 feet apparently. We're going to go at this point, we're going to go max auto brake before I forget. And then checklist complete except for deferred items. Deferred items descent checklist landing altitude we'll have to is set. Recall we've already done. Auto brake, landing data as directed, and approach briefing complete. Okay, so yeah, so we finished the whole checklist. So the checklist is complete, and we're ready to come back and try it again. And we're just going to have to use the alternate flap extension to get to flap 15. So we're going to do it at this point because I've never used this before. Honestly, I don't even know how to look down there enough that I can see it here.
Heading 350.
Victor's for final, turn right heading 350, Air Canada 8229.
And WestJet 1771, turn right heading 260.
Right turn 260, WestJet 1771. Alright, I just need to find the alternate flap switch here, and I honestly don't know where it is in this airplane.
715, descend 3000. Cessna 3000, Jet 715. And Air Canada 8.
So that's the alternate stab trim.
Descend 8000.
Descend 8,000, Air Canada 8229.
Honestly, don't know where the alternate flap is in this silly airplane. Something I should know as a captain, but I don't. Oh, Lord. So let's see if I can find it really quick here. Alright, so alternate flaps. Aha. It's on the upper panel. Now I know. Thank you.
Air Canada 8229, speed 250.
And then I have to hold it in the down position.
8250 or less, Air Canada 8229.
Get to flap 15, and I'm still holding it. Yep, I'm still holding it. It's probably going to set off the gear warning horn, honestly. But if we can get to flap 15...
Jazz 715, vectors to final.
There we go.
Turn left heading 170. Left 170.
It's a little too far. It's probably about right there. That's close enough. Alright. We got flap 15. And Vancouver WestJet 1771 is ready to retry the approach.
Alright, WestJet 1771, expect vector shortly. Break Air Canada 8229.
Thank you, guys. Sorry, I never had to use it before, honestly. So thank you guys for your help. Appreciate this multi-crew environment we got going on here. I should have been ready for that.
Air Canada 8229, descend 8000.
Okay, so we got max auto brake. We'll have max reverse. I don't think we should have too much of a problem. Flap 15 is not a terrible landing speed here. 145 is our VREF, so honestly, it's not too bad at all. But definitely when anything happens in the landing process that could affect your landing distance, you just break off the approach and figure it out. I've had it happen a couple times where spoiler systems have failed on the approach, and that's basically what you do, is you just break off the approach, you recalculate your landing distance, make sure you can do it without the spoilers, or reset the spoiler system. In the one airplane, we reset the spoiler system, it came back online, and we came back around and landed. But you can't run a checklist when you're on final. You got way
Canada 8229, reduce speed 200 or less.
We got way too much stuff going on to be doing that stuff on finals.
1771, turn right heading 350.
Right turn 350, WestJet 1771. So you definitely want to, if anything happens when you're on approach that could potentially affect your landing distance, just stop the approach, abort, vector around and run the QRH, run the checklist, make sure that you know what the distance is, recalculate the distance if you're not sure. If you run into these problems, it's easier to crash. Yeah, I know, I'm messing with my approach controller. I'm sorry, I didn't plan it this way. It just sort of happened this way. I really didn't plan on this. I thought we had it handled. I was kind of a little bit worried about the hydraulic pressure, but I didn't realize we were going to use that much hydraulic fluid putting the flaps out there. So, anyways, lesson learned. I'm learning more about the 737 every day here, so this is definitely a good end of the season. Good season finale after all. I thought that was going to be a little bit boring, but
Air Canada 8229, descend 5000.
Descend 5,000, Air Canada 8229.
that's part of the fun of being ATC too, is dealing with the abnormalities along the way. Yeah, exactly. Now you had time to catch up. You're going to land right behind us, and the controller's getting lots of good practice here with abnormalities. So, oh, good times. Again, I'm going to taxi off the runway. In the real world, we'd probably stop and get the fire trucks to check and make sure we're not leaking hydraulic fluid everywhere with our 12% that we have left. But anyways, it's okay.
WestJet 1771, turn right heading 050, cleared ILS runway 08 left approach.
Right turn 050 to intercept and cleared the ILS 08 left. Thank you, WestJet 1771. Alright, the Locan glide slope are armed. We got heading 050 there. We've got a nice steady 170 speed. I know it's a little slower than we should normally be going, but I was just trying to also give us time when we were sort of figuring out this whole approach here. So, is this sequencing properly? Yes, it's inbound to VATSIM, so it is sequencing the waypoints. We didn't have to reset the approach because we never got far enough that it sequenced past VATSIM. So we're okay here. I don't want to put the gear down too early. How are we doing fuel-wise? 5.5. Yeah, see, and this little schmuck around now has just about used up all of my contingency fuel. I'm pretty much...
8229, descend 4,000.
At this point, I am pretty much
And 4,000.
committed to landing in Vancouver because we're just about at our minimum diversion fuel here. So it's amazing how quickly when you do something like this, you go through that fuel. You use up more fuel than you expect, especially putting out flaps and stuff early and running the airplane at a higher power setting early, high drag early. We're not diverting anywhere. Vancouver's a good place to land.
715, 2 miles from VATSIM.
And it's completely VFR, so it shouldn't be an issue being able to find the airport. It was just a question of just having enough time to run through this. If I had tried to do this while we continued down final, I would have been completely effed up. You know, I don't know why the yaw damper. Does he keep turning the yaw damper off, or does it automatically flip off if there's no pressure? Oh, I didn't know that. I guess it flicks itself off if there's no pressure. I didn't know that. Learning a lot about the 37 today.
229, descend 3,000.
Descend 3,000, Air Canada 8.
Alright. Well, this definitely got interesting here. Definitely got interesting in the second half here. Was not expecting that. I thought we would have enough pressure to run the flaps out, but I guess extending those flaps fills the pistons and there's not enough fluid. Wasn't enough fluid to do it. Well, at least the checklist warned me about that, though. It warned me that that might happen.
8229, vectors to final, turn left heading 170.
Oh, I see you there on the TCAS.
Vectors final, turn left heading 170, Air Canada 829.
Alright, glide slope should be coming to life shortly here. Very shortly. Well, that was quite the quite the ordeal, though. It's a pity, and here's the one thing I'll say too, and I'm kind of glad we did this, because it's a pity because the CRJ doesn't really have failures in it. Everything is going to work every time, unless I fail, unless I do something wrong. All right, glide slope's alive. Yeah.
Air Canada 8229, turn left heading 110, cleared ILS runway 08 left approach.
Turn left heading 110, runway 8 left approach.
Gear down.
Gear down. GPWS flap inhibit to inhibit.
Checked.
Check.
Gear down. Oh, we already did that.
1771, 1 mile from VATSIM, winds 140 at 6, altimeter 3014, clear to land, runway 08 left.
Clear to land 08 left, WestJet 1771, thanks. Landing checklist.
Landing checklist. Engine start switches. Final approach fix. Height checked. Missed approach altitude
Continuous.
is not set. Speed brake.
That's it now. Armed. Armed.
Landing gear.
Down.
Vancouver Arrival, Air Canada 8229, established runway 8 left.
Flaps 15, green light.
Air Canada 8229, roger. Continue
All right.
approach number 2.
Continue approach number 2, Air Canada 8229.
We got 150 set for VREF. Alright, good to go here. Airport's in sight. Just gotta actually land this thing.
Good morning, SkyWest 3530 with you.
We're a little bit fast, but she's slowing.
SkyWest 3530, cleared to Seattle via the Vancouver 1 departure, flight planned route, departure runway 08 right.
Autopilot coming out.
0750.
Yeah, we're gonna get those warnings because we don't have the proper flaps configuration. Runway's in sight, terrain's in sight.
SkyWest 6530, read back correct.
I don't know why it's leading me so low on this approach here.
Contact me,
Really
ready for
wide slope.
taxi, and Jazz 715, welcome to Vancouver. Taxi gate 36 via Mike Juliet. Apron at your discretion. Mike Juliet, apron for gate 36, Jazz 715. Good day.
Speed brake up. Reversers normal.
There, we definitely got positive deceleration.
See 60 knots.
Make it off
Check.
here. And the short taxi in. Yeah, that worked out really well. Okay to clean up.
Check. Master caution. Anti-ice.
WestJet 1771, clear, request taxi, gate 75.
Air Canada 8229, 1 mile from Bexham, winds 140 at 6, altimeter 3014, clear to land runway 08 left.
Clear to land, runway 8 left, Air Canada 8229.
And WestJet 1771, welcome to Vancouver, gate 76, taxi ahead, Mike Sierra, apron at your discretion.
Mike Sierra, apron our discretion, WestJet 1771. Alright, straight over here to the gate, and we are done. We've made it safely, even with our failure. I like it. That was fun. If anything, with a flap failure, you're going to have a low touchdown rate because you really have to force the airplane on with a low flap setting. It doesn't want to slow down and it floats a lot. So if anything, pick a low number when you got a flap failure. That's my suggestion anyways, but lights and doors.
Check.
Really short little taxi in here. And
Cabin crew, disarm doors and cross-check. Doors disarmed. APU on the bus.
no marshaller, just the automated system. That's alright. And we made it. Woo!
We're not at 3 minutes yet.
I notice he has a timer here, so I got 30 seconds. I'm glad you got some good practice. That was it was a good little stream of arrivals there. And sorry to throw you a big, left curve there with the big curveball with the failure, but I was not going to be able to run that checklist and figure everything out in that time. There's 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Why does it always want to say I can't operate a jetway here? It doesn't like me. Again. Anyways, I don't care at this point. I'm happy that we're here. We made it safely. We can use stairs all we want. But we made it, guys. That's it. It's done. My schedule is blank. I have nothing set for current flight. I don't have any schedule, so I'm going to have to spend some time now applying to different airlines and working through my pilot's life career here. But thank you guys so much. Let's see if I have SkyWest in my job offers yet. Probably not. Nope, now I've crashed it. That's okay. Nope, not there yet. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I know you're coming there, Lucas. I've got to get out of here. Oh, probably helps if I deploy at least retract the spoilers. There you are.
Vancouver Arrival.
But thank you so much for watching. Shutdown checklist. Shutdown checklist.
Air Canada 8229, welcome to Vancouver. Could you say gate request guy, please?
Off. Hydraulic panel set. Flaps. There's
East 74, I
parking
believe,
brake.
looking for the
Set.
west distance.
Engine start levers.
Alright, Air Canada
Cut off.
8229,
Weather
gate
radar.
74,
Off.
Mike, Sierra, Juliet Alpha, apron at your discretion.
Check.
Alright, gate 74, Mike, Juliet, Sarah.
And that's it.
Sierra,
So we're done.
Alpha,
We're going to
Mike,
offload
Sierra,
these
Juliet,
guys.
Alpha, apron at discretion, candidate.
I asked for stairs. There are no stairs coming apparently, but we're going to get to boarding anyways here. But yeah, that's it. So thank you guys so much for watching. That is the end of this. The flaps are still stuck in the down position because of the failure, and I don't care. They can stay there all they want. We got there, and that's the main thing. So yeah, that's and that was my fault for not communicating clearly enough. So no worries about that either. But there we go, guys. I've got to go because I got to get this day underway. But thank you so much for watching that. That was tons of fun. I hope you guys learned something from that. And keep an eye on the stream channel, or on the Discord channel, because I will be posting when we're ready to do that next set of legs in the CRJ. So thanks, guys, for watching. Farewell to the 737, and I will see you guys all real soon.